What is going on, you guys? This is Gaming with Sal and welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I wanted to make it more fun in comparison to some of my past videos, but still keep the discussion surrounding about Black Ops 4. What I want to do for this video is rank all of the specialists that we got to play with within the beta, from 10 being the worst to 1 being the best. Now at the same time, I also want to make it clear that these aren't the final count of specialists that we will be having for the final build of the game. At least that's what I'm assuming and have been hearing here and there. So don't take my word on it, but I believe we might be getting 2 more specialists whenever the game comes out on October 12th, but once again, this is just my assumption and nothing is confirmed. Another thing that I wanted to add is that I'll be ranking these specialists based on both their abilities and how they can help you and your team, as well as how much fun I had with them, so there might be a few biased moves towards this list. But finally, without further ado, let's go ahead and get on with the video. Coming up at number 10, we have Prophet. Now, just because we're starting off low with the specialist doesn't mean he's not fun to use. If anything, I kind of enjoyed using the Black Ops 4 version of the Tempest versus something like the Black Ops 3 Tempest, but the only thing that kind of sucks about the Black Ops 4 version is that it only downs the enemy on the first hit, and then you have to hit them a second time with the Tempest in order to take them out, as opposed to the Black Ops 3 version in which it was a kill after the first shot. In addition, the one thing that's kind of a downside for me at least is his special issue equipment, and that is the Seeker. The Seeker pretty much does what it's called. It seeks out nearby enemies and then ends up shocking them whenever it finds them, and in some cases this can be very useful because you can essentially follow the Seeker to find out where a nearby enemy might be. But if the enemy player can see the Seeker coming from the distance, he or she can be ready to press square or X depending on which console they're on and escape the effect of the Seeker really quickly. Plus, if you do follow it, you never know if you're just leading yourself into more than one enemy. But those are just some of the reasons why the Prophet is sitting at number 10 for me personally. Next up, coming up at number 9, we have Seraph, and the reason why she's ranked much lower than what you might have expected her to be at, especially since we got specialists that were way more underused, such as Ajax, is because it personally doesn't fit my personal playstyle. With Seraph and her Annihilator, you have to be extremely accurate or you won't get anything out of it. And if you guys have ever sat back and analyzed my gameplays whenever it comes to Call of Duty, yeah, I'm not really the best player whenever it comes to accuracy. And to be a little bit more fair, I guess, it's also because of the fact that the specialist abilities in this game take forever to load or cool down versus something like the specialist abilities in Black Ops 3. Now, will they have a perk that speeds this up? I'm not really sure, but the point is, even though this might be the case with other specialist abilities as well, combining the long loading time / cooling time plus something like the Annihilator for a player like me, yeah, I would rather explore other options before choosing a specialist like Sarah. And just to end things off with this specialist, another thing that makes me want to put her at the bottom of the list is the TAC Deploy Beacon, aka the tactical insertion for your entire team. Now, I'm not annoyed by this equipment or anything like that and how it performs. It's just simply that I would never know where to put it. If you want to be effective with this equipment, you need to be smart about where you decide to put it or plant it, and that's not me at all. Even whenever it comes to streaks like the sentry gun that use the same concept of having to put it down in a good location for it to be effective, I can never make one of those smart decisions, so I rather just give that responsibility to someone else who knows what they're doing more with the Seraph than I would. Next up, at number 8, we have Firebreak. This one even surprised me because back in Black Ops 3, Firebreak was actually one of my favorite specialists to use, but not so much in this game. And the simple reason for that is because 1, the Purifier isn't as strong as it was in Black Ops 3. You have to stay on enemies much more longer, and the range isn't as much either compared to what it was back in Black Ops 3. So essentially, the Black Ops 4 Purifier just isn't as effective as the Black Ops 3 was. And on top of that, the Reactor Core is just something that I wouldn't use as my first option whenever it comes to special issue equipments. Yeah, it can distort enemies slightly, prevent them from being able to heal for a certain period of time when they're affected by the Reactor Core, and help during objective play, but I still feel like there are other options whenever it comes to other specialists that are much better choices for me personally versus something like the Reactor Core. And I know I'm about to keep the Firebreak a little bit more shorter in terms of my explanation for why it's sitting at it where it is, but I'll go ahead and elaborate more on this whenever we get to a specific specialist later on that I can use to explain this much more better. But anyways, until that happens, let's go ahead and move on to number 7, which is the Nomad. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this specialist could have been ranked much more higher up on the list if it still played out like it did during the early times of Weekend 1. And that is because of Nomad's dog. During Weekend 1, Nomad's dog was so overpowered and it took out enemies so quickly and efficiently to where you could even earn something like a UAV without even having to get a single kill yourself. And I know that doesn't sound impressive because, I mean, come on, it's just a UAV, right? But you gotta remember that in this game, the UAV costs 550 points. So that's a lot of score you earn just from a specialist ability. However, this got quickly noticed by Treyarch, and when it did get noticed by them, the dog was nerfed instantly. Now you might get at most 2 to 3 kills for the most part, and there could still be a chance that you can still earn something something like 4 to 5 kills from it, but it would most likely not happen for the majority of the time you played with the Nomad because of the nerf. And when it comes to Nomad's special equipment, it feels like that at this point it's almost useless. This is because these laser tripwires can easily be seen from enemies whether or not they're using the engineer perk, so enemy players will most likely not run into them as much as you might think they would, thus making the equipment not as powerful as some of the other specialist equipments that are available with the other specialists. And even though the dog may not be as powerful, it still ranks up higher than something like the Firebreak, only because the dog can get just as many kills as something like the Purifier can, or at least that's what I've experienced whenever I play the beta, except with the dog, I'm not risking myself of getting taken out like I would be doing if I was using the Purifier. Next up, coming up at number 6, we have Torque. Now, the reason why I have him at this position is because of how extremely useful he is, especially whenever it comes to domination, hardpoint, or any sort of objective styled game. Torque's special issue equipment, which is a bundle of razor wire you could put down in anywhere that's a flat surface of the map and can be used to block pathways and force enemies to rethink and take another approach on where they want to go. This is actually more useful for you, the player that's using this, than you actually think it would be, because once you throw an enemy off guard and they need to rethink on choosing the path they want to go on, they aren't engaging or thinking about getting into any gunfights, which is the perfect time for you to go ahead and strike. And even though we didn't get to see this much in the beta because it was still new and fresh for so many players, imagine when you do put time into the game whenever it comes out and you do master some of these maps and get an idea of which routes people mostly take, you can become really deadly and effective when using this razor wire ability. And when it finally comes to something like his main ability, which is to put down a barricade, and that barricade also releases a heat wave, sort of like the Guardian from past Black Ops games, it can be used really well to slow down and take down enemies when they're rushing to a certain area of the map but don't expect to see your barricade being in the way. Overall, if you want to be the person that stops the flow of the gameplay, kind of disrupts the gameplay, and throw people off, you will have a lot of fun playing as Torque. Following up at number 5, we now have Ajax. Now, fun fact about Ajax is that he didn't really perform so well during the beta. In fact, he was one of the most underused specialists, which is why he ended up getting a buff by increasing the movement speed whenever he decides to use a specialist ability, which is essentially a riot shield that allows you to also shoot an automatic pistol that comes with the ability as well. Now, you might be wondering, how in the world did the specialist make it past something like the Nomad and Firebreak? Well, it's because I actually found him pretty useful in a lot of situations. For example, even though it may seem simple and underrated, I love his specialist equipment, which is the 9-bang grenade that pretty much acts like a flashbang, but even more powerful in my opinion. This can be used extremely well for clearing out rooms and, in my opinion, be more effective than something like the Firebreak's reactor core. Another thing that I might be getting a lot of like WTF type of reactions from people is whenever I say that I find something like Ajax's shield to be more better than something like the Firebreak's Purifier. The reason I say this is because if you think about it, the shield at least protects you while you can still take enemies out, but the Purifier can't do that. At the same time, you also get extra points for deflecting bullets with your shield, which is more score than what the Purifier can give you. And at the end of the day, the Ajax specialist has to be one of the most underrated specialists of the entire game, but if you haven't given him a try yet, he might actually surprise you in how useful he can actually be. Moving on to number 4, we have Crash. Now, I'm going to keep this one simple only because this is a pretty simple and straightforward but effective specialist, and that is because Crash's main ability is to give all players, including himself, full health and extra health on top of that can become extremely clutch for whenever you go and face your next gunfight, since you have that extra health. Not to mention, when you call in this main ability, it's essentially like getting free extra score to work towards your next streaks. Plus, I like being in a position where I can support my team by giving them that extra boost that they might need whenever doing anything like trying to capture objectives or take out a certain area of the map. And whenever it comes to his special issue equipment, the assault pack is something that is useful in the sense that it can help you earn more score and get your streaks quicker. By equipping the assault pack, players can earn additional score for every kill, objective captures, or any way of earning score. And this is something that I like a lot because I'm a huge fan of different ways to get your streaks quicker. So imagine running something like the assault pack with the cosmic device. You'd be earning streaks much faster than everyone else around you, and that's something that makes this specialist fun for me. Now, finally, moving on to the top 3. Number 3, we have Battery. Now, this position and the next one might have a little bit more bias to them, and that is that these specialists are just really fun to use. Battery's War Machine makes a return once again, and this weapon is just really enjoyable to use, and not gonna lie, is really satisfying to get those high kill chains. And I know I keep using the Purifier as an example, but I feel like it's a very good comparison. But with the Purifier, you have to be up close with the enemies, and in this case, the War Machine, you don't have to do that. And then comparing the War Machine with something like Ajax's shield, well, I think based on gameplays of both of these abilities, you can kind of judge which which one's more fun. And then whenever it comes to her special issue equipment, the cluster grenade is once again something that's just really fun to use, especially when you're playing a mode like Hardpoint and you just throw it into a room filled with enemies and then get those sweet double kills and sometimes even triple kills, which doesn't really happen as often in this game. So overall, really fun specialist to use, especially whenever you want to go into a match and goof around and just pretty much have fun. Moving on to number 2, we have Ruin. Now, like I said, whenever it comes to battery, the same goes for Ruin in the sense that I only ranked it so high for how much fun I had using. At the same time, I feel like it's probably because of the fact that Ruin is being used as like the main front cover for the game, or essentially like the leader of all the specialists, if that makes sense. But regardless, I still enjoy using Ruin's grappling hook, and as a player who loves to rush throughout the map and get one of those, quick kills and move around from one place to another really quickly, the grappling hook becomes my go-to equipment. And then combining the grappling hook with something like the Grab Slam, which is Ruin's main specialist ability, you just simply can't deny how much fun it is to use that simple combination whenever it comes to going against enemies. Overall, the main reason why the specialist is at the top of the list is because of how much fun it is to use him. So yeah, it's a little biased, but I'm not going to rank Ruin any lower than where it is on this list, especially if I use him a lot. Finally, coming in up at number 1, he is certainly last but not least, my top and favorite specialist, Recon. Recon is, in my opinion, overall the perfect specialist for me. Let's start off with his specialist issue equipment. The sensor dart is basically a little piece of equipment that you can shoot onto almost any surface of the map, and whenever you do, it basically scans the enemy for that small radius that it's in and kind of gives you a heads up of whether or not there's enemies near an objective or a possible spawn point, and it kind of gives you a heads up before you decide to make a move on which direction you want to go in, and it overall just kind of gives you more awareness of what's going on around you. Moving on to his main ability, the Vision Pulse, which makes a return from Black Ops 3, does basically what it did before, and that it scans enemies and helps you to see them through something like walls. But the reason why Black Ops 4's Vision Pulse is far superior to something like Black Ops 3's is because it scans the map more than just one time, and it allows your entire team to be able to see them as well, which makes this sound overpowered, but is also balanced out with the fact that you will only get this once in a match or once in a round of something like Domination because of the long cooldown time. So in a way, really powerful ability, but at the same time also balanced. But nonetheless, this specialist ability is overall really effective and gives you a good amount of score, which just adds up towards earning your streaks. And with a rusher like me, it's always nice to get a heads up of where the enemies are located before I make a decision on where to go. And there you guys have it. Those are my top 10 specialists from worst to best. And let me know what your guys' top 10 specialists are if you guys have ranked those specialists from best to worst. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. But anyways, that's all I have for you within this video. So if you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, click the bell icon so you'll never miss an upload, and follow me on my social media accounts to stay connected. Links are always in the description below. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and bye.